Hello, and thank you for joining the Thursday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Uzubaku. Today on the program, nationwide blackout as power grid collapses again. Lagos places 14 countries on watch list over COVID-19 variants. Vows to enforce coronavirus law against defaulters. And later on the show, villagers sign peace deals with bandits in Niger State. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Sam Ibemere. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Let's start the program today by saying Eid Mubarak to our Muslim brothers and sisters. Babajide Sam, the fast is over.
Yes, at least our friends can give us the sumptuous feast now.
Yes, the likes of Alhaji Jamiu.
They have no excuse.
The likes of Osiare GKB.
I apologize to
Alhaji Aruna Habib.
I apologize to Majid for abusing us now.
Okay.
This is the season of sharing. So
yes, so you should forgive us. Sam,
yeah,
we have very close friends, Muslims.
True. The season for sharing.
Okay.
Season for sharing.
All right, let's start today's program by paying tribute to one of the finest soldiers and former Chief of Defense Staff, Lieutenant General Joshua Dongoyaro. According to the family source, General Dongoyaro, a member of the famous Langtang Mafia, died in the early hours of Thursday at Jos University Teaching Hospital after a brief illness. He was age 80. Babajide, when I was growing up, when you hear of member of AFRC, Ekomong field commander, they will tell you Joshua Dongoyaro.
yes, they will be remembered for reading the coup speech that removed President Buhari from power in 1985, and in that coup speech he made some very thought-provoking remarks. He said that the expectations of Nigerians had not been fulfilled. And he said, and I quote, "Because this generation of Nigerians and indeed future generations have no other country but Nigeria, we could not stay passive and watch a small group of individuals misuse power to the detriment of our national aspirations and interests." So he talked about lack of purpose and synergy within the hierarchy of government, lack of cohesion within the Supreme Military Council, which he claimed had been rendered redundant. He added that the concept of collective leadership has been substituted by stubborn and ill-advised unilateral actions. The present composition, he now ended by saying, the present composition of our country's leadership cannot therefore justified its continued occupation of that position. And effectively, he and others like him removed President Buhari as head of state in 1985. But Abacha read the 1983 speech, but Joshua Dongoyaro read the 1985 coup speech. So he will be remembered for that.
There was a time that, when you think about people from Plateau states, there's a particular tribe. The Plateau, we have Langtang. The Fulanis, the Biroms, and the Langtang guys. So most of those Langtang guys, they had a lot of generals and they sent their children to the Nigerian Defense Academy. So when it comes of military representation, they held their own in the military.
Yes, Dongoyaro was very famous. Another member of the Langtang Mafia is Jeremiah Husseini. He is still he is still strutting the
former FCT minister under Abacha.
Still strutting the seats of power, and John Shagaya, quite
John
famous.
Shagaya.
Yeah, so these guys were quite influential, and I don't think much has changed. Even now, they still are able to pull strings within our politics. But Nimiel Dongoyaro will be remembered for also contributing to, bringing peace to the West African region. Especially
I remember that.
Yes, he was an ECOMOG commander, and all of us will remember, the role that Nigeria played in Liberia in terms of trying to restore peace to that troubled
Any
nation.
commander is just like the operational person now. After that time, it was JT Shapidi, it was Victor Malu at the point in time.
Absolutely. Those were the days that members of Nigerian armed forces were very, very highly respected because they proved themselves everywhere they were sent to serve. And condolence to the family and to the country also. We wish the family.
Don Kabali was one of them too. Don Kabali.
Oh, General Don Kabali.
Yes, he was the most senior of them all.
He rose to become the full general.
Yes. They had to they promoted him, so that he would live. He left in anger.
Yes.
Yeah, because he said
during Babangida time.
He said he could not accept to serve in a position where the last person who served that position was a colonel. So he said he could not move from chairman, joint chiefs of staff to occupy a position that the last occupant,
colonel,
the last occupant was a colonel.
Very far.
Himself and Ebitu Kiwe, very principled generals at that time. Ebitu Kiwe, if not for the war, he would have been their seniors. Because during the war, he fought on the side of Biafra.
So in the process of his reintegration,
he lost some years. So great officers during their time, so much discipline.
Patriots.
The army so well respected during that time. And I just hope that we can raise another generation of fantastic generals that will be respected whenever their names are mentioned.
Lieutenant General Joshua Dongoyaro, at the ripe age of taking a bow at the ripe age of 80. Moving on now, after a recent threshold of 5,801 megawatt electricity generation, a national record of Nigeria's power sector is in limbo. The Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, announced that the national grid experienced a total collapse on Wednesday, resulting in blackout in some parts of the country. Confirming the development in a statement in Abuja, the General Manager Public Affairs at TCN, Ndidimba, blamed it on voltage collapse at some parts of the grid. She added that TCN has commenced grid recovery to restore electricity to affected areas. Judy, this now is a common word in our lexicon. Before it used to be in months, in years before you hear of this now. At least back to back that I've been hearing of this total collapse now. In the last 1 or 2 years, I can count 3, 4, 5 times today.
If you look at 3 to 4 years, we'll be counting in excess of 20.
It's becoming total collapse.
It's terrible. Even in the last 1.5 months, we've had at least 2 or 3. So,
please tell our viewers what's the implication.
There are many things that can trigger system collapse.
Okay.
If you have gas constraints, for example, it means that all the GenCos will not be able to operate at optimum capacity. For example, if you can't get gas supply to half of the GenCos, it can trigger system collapse because
those tarmac that are using gas,
the quantum of power generated will not be sufficient for the entire nation, and if it does not reach get to a particular level to trigger a shutdown. So there are different reasons. Many times we've had gas constraints accounting for this, but
if you have
this
gas problem, hydro problem,
no, hydro problem may not trigger. It may not trigger it now.
Okay.
It won't even trigger it now because we have a preponderance of gas-fired power plants. We have only three hydro plants.
That's the biggest of them.
The biggest of them, the hydro plants, is Kainji
Dam,
which has at inception stock capacity of 700 megawatts. But I don't think that with its age and all that that they can.
So the new ones now, they are now fired with gas.
A lot, yes. We are dependent largely now on gas-fired power plants, with the largest of them all being the Egbe thermal station. It's the largest in West Africa.
Upgraded?
Yes, it's been upgraded. So we've done some work on it over time. So it's been upgraded. It's the largest gas-fired power plants in our country and in West Africa. So you can imagine if Egbe shuts down due to lack of gas supply, or Motoshe 1 and 2 shut down, Papala and 2 shut down, you know, Geregu shut down, and you have Alauji, all of them, maybe about 8 or 9 of them
gas powered.
There is no way you won't have system failure, because what is generated would not be sufficient to go around the country. As you can see, in this case, they were explaining that that only about 6 distribution companies out of 13 even received some level of power generated, and what was received was grossly insufficient, to the point that one of the discos even got just 50 megawatts. You know, so where you are expecting 400 and something megawatts and you got 50, definitely it's not sufficient. But this time around, they didn't blame it on gas constraints, but they said result of voltage collapse. They will need to explain voltage collapse. But for me, I'm just disappointed, because at a point when I felt that we were making progress and we reached an all-time high in the month of February or so, 5,801
Yes, getting to 5,000 is a cherry news.
Yes, because the highest point that we got to was 5,333, 5,333.
This was 500, 800.
Now, under this, the current minister, we had 3 different, we set 3 records consecutively, and they got to 5,801. And now we are having this kind of regression. It's really disturbing.
Everything to stop it. Sam, in my generation, will I ever witness, you know, a day that we are going to have steady power supply? I grew up in Lagos in an atmosphere of say, when NEPA brings night, say up NEPA, and when NEPA takes night. So as a young man, it became part of us. Even our new children now, they know what is NEPA. Despite the fact that their name is not NEPA again, but they know what they call power holding people and everything. Even what's happened in Dallas. They restored lights in Dallas, and people were shouting, Nigerians were shouting up NEPA in Dallas, Texas.
Yeah, very serious.
Because they didn't know how else to put it down.
They are just having fun.
They just said help NEPA in the USA.
No, but it just shows you how serious the challenges are. You ask to know if in our own time we are going to be able to enjoy power to maximum. I think we need to be very realistic, Ayo. You don't give what you don't have. If power is not generated, not properly transmitted or distributed, you don't just trust that everything will be okay. So my answer will be looking at the objective conditions that confront us today.
Investment into that sector.
Yes, where we have a system that is running inefficiently. Okay, you can only but dream that things will be okay. But in the immediate, we've got to face the very hard realities, and that is that we cannot have power that is stable, we cannot have power that is reliable, we cannot have power that is even cheap enough for Nigerians, to procure. These are the hard realities.
Price, this tariff is debatable.
Yes.
Some people will tell you that, look, if you just give me power supply, however, you just whatever you like, bring it, so that my generator will not run.
That is the truth.
However expensive,
the average customer, the average customer is shopping for value. If you give him value, he will pay, and that is the truth. If giving what that I know
do you know about how much we extend on data? How much we extend on bank card recharge card, just because we know that, look,
if you have
this thing, the more you use it.
Yes, if you have a system that runs efficiently, okay, customers will be willing to pay for the service that is rendered, as long as you deliver value. It's just commonsensical, Ayo, That is the truth. So you don't expect that things will improve when the realities on the ground don't support that you are going to enjoy power 24/7. We're not even asking for power 24 hours every day, 7 days a week. No, we're saying if you can do 18 hours.
18 hours.
That would be fantastic. You know how that will impact our industries, how that will impact our homes, how that will impact businesses. That's what we're looking at. So productivity is declining by the day.
We can plan with that 18 hours.
And then the options that you have are not cheap by any standard. So when you ask what the real impact is of these collapsed systems that we get to experience every day, productivity is suffering. So if at the end of the day you don't have money to do anything to meet your goals, the government doesn't. Do you understand? It's a crisis situation, and I think this whole thing boils down to the fact that unlike what we experience in the telecom sector, okay, we seem to have a power reform initiative that wasn't transparent enough, all right, where people just basically balkanize the system, and that's what we have today. Everybody's suffering from that gap in the system.
Jude, I will ask you the same question, because if I get value for my money, and some Nigerians are saying that they are willing to pay and everything, but the way it is right now, not the prepaid media, we don't even does not be circulated up to 1/3 of the population of the targeted audience and everything. So will this thing improve? Now, I asked you some months ago, you talked about sustained investments into that sector for some years. That fund, I'm telling you, I know in Nigeria, we don't have it now. So there's no how we can inject such a fund into that sector consistently in the next 5 years.
In my view, we should begin to opt for off-grid power initiatives.
Off-grid?
Off-grid.
Explain it better.
The off-grid largely renewable energy, like solar, for example. It is of low voltage, but you are not dependent on power from the national grid. You can electrify so many communities without taking power from the
connecting them to the grid.
Yes, connecting them.
Grid that is not enough.
There was, I think the government itself has said that it is determined to electrify 6 million homes through this renewable.
6 million.
Yes, 6 million. They actually launched it at Jigawa State recently through this off-grid electricity access initiative. With that, and it's much more reliable, it's cleaner, it's safer, and cheaper.
So far, if it's solar, so far
than what you get from the national grid. At the University of Lagos, for example, the Rural Electrification Agency is building a power facility there, off-grid. They are doing it in many schools, many tertiary institutions across our country. Remember, I did the story of Obudu that neglected.
I remember the off-grid project.
Yes. Now they've given them electricity. If you go to BUK now, they've done that. You can even have hydro power projects. Also, a kind of mini grid initiative.
It's not connected to that.
Not connected, but it's hydro. It's hydro, but not connected because it's low voltage. People will be able to enjoy electricity without resorting to the national grid.
I was told that some churches like Redeem too, they have something like that.
Independent.
Some universities already now are connected, have this renewable energy initiative. That is how the school is powered. Some universities now, some private universities in our country. We used to have rural electricity board in those days. That is what they are trying to do now. Rural communities, connect them, give them electricity off the grid. So we can actually do a lot without going through the national grid. I think that is the way to go, because at the rate at which we are going now, it may take a while before we get to the promised land.
Everybody.
We can't do more than 5,000 megawatts.
The pace is too slow.
If we do 5,801 megawatts, we can't even do 5,500 consistently. We'll go back to maybe 4,000, 3,500. That is what
Very
we'll be
slow
facing.
pace.
How can Abuja Disco, for example, they were said to be anticipating 458.927. They got only 50 megawatt by 1 p.m.
Out of
458. Out of 458. And you know, Eco Disco too. Eco Disco had 70 megawatts. What are they going to do with 70 megawatts? The whole of Lagos.
Maybe power their own office.
Benin got 50 megawatts, 50 megawatts, and Ibadan Disco got 40 megawatts. That's not impressive. That's disappointing. This thing, we've said many times that we can look at other sources. We in our country, we are now relying so much on gas power plants. You look at Canada, for example, coal. South Africa, coal.
We have coal in Tonogwu.
And we have here in Nigeria, there are other sources of electricity generation that we can leverage on. Because anytime there is crisis, maybe those bad boys break some gas pipelines.
We're back to square one.
We won't have gas supplied to the power plants, and the generating companies will take their money. Because if it is not their fault and their engines are running, you must pay. That is the agreement.
All right. We'll take this break. We'll go for this commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still Journalist Hangout. Still celebrating with our Muslim brothers and sisters. That's Eid Mubarak, and we pray that the Almighty Allah accept our supplications. It's still Journalist Hangout, reaching you live from the best television station of the year, TVC News, and this is your favorite news and current affairs program. I still have Babajide Kolade Otitoju with me in the studio, and Sam Ebimere. And on the final take, Babajide, on this, what can we put in place to forestall this in future?
The truth is, you cannot legislate against occasional problems from the transmission end. Yes, this government has invested so much to freshen up transmission lines here and there, but the fact still remains that a lot of the transmission infrastructure remain old. They need to be replaced. You need to be replaced. Until we are able to do that and do it sufficiently, there will be occasional technical problems arising from one mistake here or another, which could lead, because this is not a problem of generation. This is a problem that arose from the transmission end. It's not a problem of distributors. So they were waiting to receive, but they didn't get. So that's why they say voltage collapse. Maybe in the fullness of time, they will be able to explain in detail to us the problems that they had.
Solution.
Okay, when Jide spoke earlier, he talked about options.
Off-grid system. That looks attractive.
Yes, it does look attractive, but then we also have to ask ourselves some very hard questions. Okay, sometime about 2 years ago, the TCN came out and said they had raised some money, about $1.6 billion, to help rehabilitate the transmission lines and modernize that sector of the system. So we should be asking questions. What has become of that money that was raised, which the government on its own, I mean, which the authorities on their own, volunteered as ready information. So we want to feel, that investment for which money was raised. So it's very important. And experts have also asked or recommended that the the national grid be decentralized. You know, when the unbundling of that sector was done, it was only the transmission company that was
off-grid idea.
Yes, that's the only
emphasis
one.
we just
That's the only one. The generation companies you have competition in that area.
If I have light in Lagos now, they have to send it to the national grid and distribute it.
Exactly.
Before I do them.
Exactly.
I think
So
the off-grid,
and it's 100% owned run by the government.
The federal government.
And we all know what obtains when government is involved in ventures of this kind.
Okay, moving on now. A third wave of COVID-19 pandemic may be upon us in Nigeria. All safety protocols are being enforced across the country. In Lagos, the state government has placed 14 countries under close monitoring to prevent spread of the deadly COVID-19 variant. The State Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi, vowed that Lagos will enforce laws against defaulters and begin to monitor movement of people from Canada, USA, France, Germany, Netherlands, Togo, Ghana, Cameroon, Angola, South Africa, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and Rwanda. Let's hear from Professor Akin Abayomi.
We have come out of the second wave, so we are in what we call the valley after the second wave. Lagos is not resting. We are doing a number of things, and if you can see from this diagram, the gray graph represents our first wave, and the orange graph represents our second wave. Now that we've passed the second wave, this same list applies. We are not resting. We are preparing and building resilience to ensure that we make it very difficult for new strain virus to enter Lagos. The original virus has mutated into several different strains characterized by this cartoon: the Indian, the Brazilian, the South African, or the European virus. We are doing several things within the Lagos State Biobank. We are increasing our spectrum of PCR kits. We are also developing the capacity to sequence with partners, and also Mr. Governor has approved that Lagos State moves quickly ahead to develop sequencing ability within the Ministry of Health to ensure that we can characterize the virus through very advanced molecular biology technology. Our isolation facilities are still there. We are maintaining them. We're using them now for the mandatory isolation of passengers that are traveling from India, Brazil, or Turkey. We have built 10 sample collection and oxygen centers across different locations in Lagos. We have built 2 oxygen plants, one in IDH, the infectious disease hospital at Yaba. It has been commissioned more than a month ago. It is producing 60 large cylinders of oxygen a day. In addition, we've just commissioned another one at Bagada General Hospital. It also has the same capacity, and it is also live and producing oxygen. We will soon have a third one at Lasuth, and we're looking at a fourth one, and it's most likely that we will see mutants and new strains coming in through the airport. If we say that you need to be under mandatory isolation on arrival from any of those 3 countries, and we find that you are breaking the law, we just have to report you to the law enforcement agencies, and they will prosecute you according to this new law. And the sanctions they range from imprisonment to heavy fines. And we are about to enforce these laws, because if you break the law, you are putting Lagosians and citizens of this state at risk. If you have traveled into this country, the law at the moment states that you must undergo a 7-day mandatory isolation. If you are traveling in from one of the 3 countries nominated by the federal government, Brazil, India, and Turkey, then you will, in addition, you will be isolated at a designated facility. We will give you the options and you will choose. In those facilities, you will be supervised. The reason for this is because we want to make sure that nobody is coming into contact with you during those 7 days.
If it's not absolutely necessary to go out or come in, Jide, this is not the best time to travel. if it's not absolutely necessary. Lagos State being a pace-setter state, on top of their game always, they're sounding the alarm bell right now to tell us that that's very stubborn variant from India, South Africa, and some other Brazil, funny variant, the third wave that it's around now in Lagos, and they're doing everything to checkmate it.
Yes, and I'm impressed with the measures that the commissioner has rolled out. He's so competent.
Yeah, about security experts.
He's one of the best in the world.
Yes.
And it shows.
Yes.
I've asked myself repeatedly that if not for love for country,
he contacted the virus at the time.
Professor Abayomi would rather not work here.
I'm telling you.
Because a well sought out after person like that, one of the best,
CV, you understand?
One of the best in the world, is elected to serve in his country and is doing it well. You can see that Lagos is not relaxing,
maximizing his potential.
They know that once this thing gets in here, is a lot difficult to check. And if God forbid, if we find ourselves in the position that the Indians have found themselves. I was looking at the figures. India has had 23.7,363,000 cases and 262,120 persons have died. Turkey, they've had 5.07 million cases and 43,900 deaths. Brazil, they've had 15.5 million cases and 430,000 persons are dead. So this is not an element to mess with.
We don't have what it takes.
If we don't have the infrastructure to deal with this. But even in India, I'm seeing videos now of people collapsing on the streets and dying. So things have really degenerated.
They are overwhelmed.
And as I was saying the other day, this one does not discriminate. It even afflicts the younger people more. And it is now apparent that this thing is airborne. I remember one of our scientists in-house here, Engineer Kola, telling us that, look, don't listen to those who say this thing is not airborne. We are seeing it now. They are admitting at the level of World Health Organization that given some of the characteristics that this B1617 has shown, there is evidence.
This one is not even waiting for underlying factor.
No.
To deal with
Young people, kids, school kids have been afflicted. Whereas the first variant of it, those people appear to have immunity. And the way this one operates is it impedes your intake of oxygen.
Immediately,
that means
your respiratory system.
You cannot breathe without some form of
ventilator
assistance.
So where are you going to get
it? Now that's why, look at the Indians, they've run out of oxygen and people are dying. So this is the thing, we have to be prepared.
Incriminating people.
Yeah.
Yes. We have to prepare, we have to just be vigilant. We have to be vigilant. The respiratory symptoms that it shows is what really scares me. You even see some symptoms of malaria that differentiates malaria from what's it called, from COVID. You see it manifesting in this new variant, and it's already been affirmed that the vaccine does not confer immunity on you against this variant because the vaccine had been made before this new variant came out.
So that's the bad news here now. Sam, we've taking AstraZeneca. Some people were waiting for the second shot and everything, and some people they've not taken. But what the third variant is like, look, there's no remedy yet.
Yes, the signals are not good at all. When they spoke, he talked about totals. The last time I checked, on the average, 4,000 deaths a day in India.
4,000?
Yes.
Every day?
That brings it closer home. Brazil, on the average, about 2,000 deaths a day. I mean, just have a mental picture of it. It's terrible. And I feel sorry for those who go about, talking about coronavirus not being real. I mean,
not in existence.
There are just too many examples.
Yes.
Do you understand?
3 days ago, somebody still told me that coronavirus.
It's terrible, and that's why, as a people, we've got to take responsibility.
There is government way of siphoning money.
I don't even listen to
we have to take responsibility.
I just take my work.
No, I'll just immediately I know the kind of person you are. Just
you don't deserve my attention.
We've got to be very
pastor,
careful.
you say that you don't deserve my attention.
Adults trapped in children's
It's
children's
terrible.
body.
It's terrible. We've got to take responsibility, and that's just the truth. And one must commend, the Lagos State government for being on top of this game. It's a clear manifestation of the fact that the leadership here is not just showing
because
capacity.
the major hub is Lagos.
They are showing
Mohammed International Airport, where we have the traffic is very heavy.
Capacity and competence.
Inflow, yes.
Capacity and competence, and that is what is happening.
You know that over 20 million people.
Yes.
Even the state will not enjoy it. So it's commendable that the vigilance is key. We were talking about how Rwanda has been dealing with this situation.
Yes.
People are streaming into Rwanda, tourists and all that.
Don't tell you what to come.
The government said, okay, this time around, as you come in, they already have a group of taxi drivers that the government has trained, and they test them all the time. They are the ones who will go and pick you. You can't stay in an hotel of your choice.
They
will take you
that
to
isolation center.
Yes, they will take you to that place, and you will be there. They will test you. After you've now been confirmed to be clean, that is when they will now allow you. And even their tourist centers, they've designated tourist centers that you can go to. So it's not like, oh, you come into our country and you just go to where you like. No, if they allow that, you are going to infect people. So they are not allowing that to happen. So when I heard about the vigilance that the Lagos state people are talking about, because our people, when these people come in, you allow them, you expect that they are responsible enough. You say, okay, self-quarantine. During that period, people go to them and collect gifts and all that. Poor people, usually when these guys come around, they came for a party or maybe somebody died, they will now go, people will go to them to take money from them. In the process, they infect those people. Right now, if they are coming in from those countries, all these 14 countries, we must make sure that we monitor them. We can't simply assume that they are responsible enough, they will do self-isolation. No, once you come in, we have to watch you. We must not allow people to visit them because they will infect those people. So if they can do that, if we can ensure that vigilance, because government is saying that they will prosecute some people who are supposed to self-isolate and refused. They refused outright.
If it's not absolutely necessary, you don't have any business going and coming anyway.
No, but if you come in, respect yourself, isolate, that is the law. But to now refuse, even Nigerians, so they are doing that to their people.
Yes,
you now refuse.
We are at risk.
You are putting us at risk. So such people need to be dealt with severely.
All right, moving on now. Like the slippery tentacles of the octopus, and banditry. And banditry is now taking several forms to unleash mayhem in some northern states of Nigeria. In Niger State, villagers have signed peace deals with bandits in 3 wards of Shiroro local government area. We gathered that 22 villages in Manta Ward, 29 in Gumana, and 15 in Basa Kukaki wards signed the peace accord with the bandits. The deal involved release of huge sum of money and Honda motorcycles to the bandits, while they in turn promised not to attack the villagers. So you have to negotiate your safety if government cannot provide and protect you. So the best way, be wise and you negotiate it. Since our Minister of Defense had even said it, that look, you don't need to fear these people, just get an AK-47 and just look for a way to defend yourself.
He didn't say get an AK-47 because he knows the government that he serves has said that people can't go around.
Yes. Oh, he said
saying that
the sound of AK-47
that should confront
people
them.
should stand. So anyhow you can defend yourself.
Nobody will listen to him and face the bandits. Bandits still killed vigilantes. They've been slaughtering vigilantes for some time in Niger State. and vigilantes go around with den guns and all that. So if the weapons that they have, the vigilante, there are no match to them. The weapons that they have, they can confront the military. We've seen them confront the military, burn army barracks.
Especially this one in Niger State.
Because it's Boko Haram. Boko Haram is present there. Yeah. It's not something that anybody can deny anymore.
So the government will be categorized as bandits. These people in Niger State.
No. It's not those ones are bandits. I mean, Boko Haram. They are in the North Central. Even if they form a group that broke out of Boko Haram that time, Darussalam, they've always been in the North Central. They were the ones who attacked an army convoy in Lokojana back then. So it's not even a new thing that they are in the North Central. It's the nonsense that they are doing that is the problem. In Katsina State, farmers negotiate with bandits to allow them to go into their farms and harvest. They give them money. In all of those villages that are difficult to access, people have learned, since the presence of government or presence of security forces cannot be guaranteed, they have learned to negotiate with these bandits so that they can stay alive. Now we are seeing that story. We are seeing that in Niger State now. We are seeing that in Niger State. The bandits will tell you that, look, don't assume that the military will come and rescue you. We are now afraid of the military.
They will not even come.
Don't assume. So if you know what you are doing, negotiate with us. The military can't save you. When people hear that, where do they go again?
When they know.
And they know that those bandits have killed soldiers many times, even in that Shiroro.
And we are not showing strength
without any repercussion.
Yes, we are not showing strength in any way that we're in charge of this.
A bandit leader killed 18 soldiers in Shimfida local government of Shimfida town of Jibia local government, Katsina. No consequences. No consequences. So, do you think that residents will not now realize that it makes sense for us to go and pay this sum of money so that they don't send us to early graves? So this is the thing.
But I even learned that this Ramadan period, bandits I can't substantiate the pictures, but we gathered that
Boko Haram, not bandits. Boko Haram.
Boko Haram.
They shared money and rice.
Yes.
Shared money. I saw the
that one is
provisions,
not new.
rice.
That one is not new. That one is not new.
The pictures are all over the place.
So the welfare that your government
couldn't provide.
So this, after the fasting period, we are the good guys.
It just speaks to how low things have degenerated in our country. There's no other way to describe it. Those of us who have raised the alarm and spoken to the effect of Nigeria heading towards a failed state. Sometimes people think we are alarmist, but all the signs are there. If you don't want to describe Nigeria as a failed state, you can take Niger State as an example, where the governor had come out,
owned up,
and a report I read this morning.
It wasn't ready to be part of the cover-up again.
Yeah, the report I read this morning said, out of the 25 local government areas in Niger State, 14 have active presence of bandits. 14 out of 25. I'm quoting NEMA.
NEMA?
Yes.
Emergency.
In fact, they had gone to distribute relief materials.
No, there are IDPs all over the place.
Do you understand? In fact, the figures shared by NEMA said almost 25,000 households.
Yes. When we showed this video last week, a lot of people called me and they were saying that, wow,
it's bad.
This is modus operandi.
Yeah, this they can move everywhere.
Look at the way they are moving.
And that's why the Greenfield
is equal to confront them. Where you are.
Look at. So how many soldiers are you now going to deploy?
They become so brazen to ask for motorcycles as part of
in fact, somebody was telling me that it's just that we did not know that the idea of asking for motorcycles had always been there.
Yes.
That they've been doing that for years.
Because
that apart from the money they will ask you buy motorcycles.
Look at now, we can see what the use of motorcycle.
Yeah, make everywhere accessible for them.
Do
you know that
basically having a stroll?
Yes.
A stroll.
Okay, let's go back to what happened in Kankara. Kankara in Katsina State. It was motorcycles that they used to move those boys. It was motorcycles now.
You can really imagine the number of motorcycles that
usually some attacks that they launch, they come with no less than 100 motorcycles carrying 3 persons.
Yeah.
3 persons, so each of them with an AK-47 or AK-49.
Or RPG.
Or even GPMG. So with that, they are ready for war. They are ready for war. So if you send in, they've ambushed soldiers in the past and killed many, because sometimes you don't know like how many of them you are going to face.
What lies in wait for you?
You are going there, you want to simply go and confront them, then they wait.
So look at if these guys are
just
going
ambush
to
you and kill
look
them.
at the number of people that have moved.
You know all of those, the forests, the Rugu forests, for example, stretches from Katsina right up to Kebbi State. So they can link states together, moving through those forests. That's why it's so convenient for them. And if you are chasing them with maybe a armored vehicle, there's a limit. At a point, you won't be able to move again. So this one's
with this they can navigate,
for them.
Can navigate anywhere in the forest.
No matter how bad the road is.
And you're always saying that government, that they know where they are.
No, we know.
Alhaji Mohammed confirmed it, that they know where they are.
It is not. If I have gone to interview bandits before, I did a documentary on it before this problem became this pronounced. So if I could go and see bandits,
it was just on journalist Hangout, I remember.
Yes, now if I could go and speak to them, was it not somewhere that I saw them? I went the same place where I met them was where they killed 18 soldiers last year, Shimfida, in Jibia local government.
Katsina.
Yes, that's where they killed 18 soldiers, including an army captain. And there has not been any consequences. I repeat, no consequences.
Before, if you do that.
Before, if you kill one soldier.
Look at what happened in Odi.
What of Zakibiam? So, but things are changed. We know where they are. When you go to Dansadao, for example, that forest, Dansadao forest full of bandits. There is another forest called Bayanrua.
To the extent that the governor of Zamfara is saying that there are over 30,000 bandits.
Yes, conservative figure.
30,000.
Conservative figure.
So if you want to attack those ones, you want to send the ground troop to attack those ones.
There are different groups, different bandit leaders. And each of them has some level of capability, some weapons. It's the weapons you have that make people fear you. Like that Dogo Gide now, who killed Buhari Ndaji, is now seen as the #1 bandit in Niger State. Small boy.
Niger State?
Yes. When Dogo Gide emerged, if you remember, we discussed him, I brought his picture.
One fair guy like this?
Yes, handsome boy who was wearing army fatigue. You know, today, when they are talking about bandit leaders, he was the one who masterminded the kidnap those Kagara schoolboys now. Working with Boko Haram. So this is the situation that we find ourselves. We know where they are. We know, and I'm happy that they too have admitted that they know where they are. It's not that one is just, we know where they are. And if they are saying they don't know, we can give them a list of places where they can find them.
They say they know. They're just looking at them, observing them.
What is missing is the will to take on this challenge. I mean, if Mr. President would as much as plead with bandits, you begin to
warning them that we have capacity. They say Soyinka said the tiger does not boast about its tigritude. Don't boast about your tigritude. Don't boast about your capacity. Let them feel that capacity. These are not human beings. Why are you?
Yes. Meanwhile, we are performing exploits in the southeast. That is #2 man of
that is what is disturbing.
The guy. That's what's the name that was killed?
That is what is disturbing. That is what is disturbing.
What's the name of the guy that was killed?
Ayo, it's about the will to confront the challenge.
But people have been killing soldiers. People have been killing soldiers. We have records. I said Air Force. They were driving along Beningwari Road. They slaughtered them. Air Force. Soldiers were driving through that the road that links Kaduna with Funtua. Very fantastic road, but people don't like to use it because of it's not safe.
You've abandoned
They
it.
slaughtered the soldiers. Is that not enough to push us to say, look, you these guys, enough is enough.
Let's just show them.
Let's have the NSA. Can the NSA, who himself is a retired army general, or the Minister of Defense, instead of telling people to go and defend themselves with bare hands, can they sit up and say we are drawing up a plan, a 6-month offensive against these guys?
But I've been listening to the NSA. It's soundbite lately.
It's
always talking.
It's still about the will.
That is the thing.
Ayo,
We are
Ayo,
listening to the action.
Ayo, several times on this platform, we've talked about the role of intelligence in all this. We've seen what intelligence could do in the case of the Southeast. It will be difficult. It will be difficult to believe that the intelligence is not available to the government.
There is no need.
Do you understand?
You are going far.
So,
I said me, I've interviewed bandits in Katsina. I can tell them where bandits are.
So, not to talk of
The
people
location.
that the tribe in intelligence gathering and
The
everything.
location, the camp. What are we talking about? One guy the other day was saying, Ajide, tell your friend Sheung that she should come and meet Gumi so that Gumi will take you people to see bandits. I said, before Gumi started seeing bandits, I went to interview them. I don't need him to take me to any bandit.
It was live on GH.
I don't need him to take me to any bandit. Before he started fraternizing with them, I had gone to see them. I know where they are. So if I know where they are, soldiers too know where they are.
What we are going to do is that we are going to track the YouTube version of that edition, and we are going to show it to you. We said it like 2 years ago.
It's not difficult to locate them. It's not difficult to know where they are. All the bandit leaders have their own camps.
Thank you, Sam.
My pleasure here.
Yeah, thank you. And Babajide Kolade Ototoji.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you. It's always
Let's go and look for Mojid.
we Trojan. We go and look for Mojid and Alhaji Haruna Abi.
At least we won't kill ourselves. Bandits are doing what they like in their country.
So we want to go and look for our friends.
So we'll go and look for our friends, make ourselves happy.
Are they killing ram this time?
And Osiare too.
Maybe in our horse.
We'll follow you.
Mojid slaughter. We'll know today.
And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. And don't forget to join Journalist Hangouts Sunday, the special edition. Sunday, it's from 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. We're here live on DSTV 418, GoTV 45, on on all our stations. We're here 2 hours every Sunday, 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. We're also on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Uzubaku. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.